Hello, this is our first video. This is 1.0 Properties of Numbers. If you are in the Math 7 Honors class, it'll say 1.4 Properties of Numbers. It's still the same lesson, just a different lesson number. You need this handout to begin. If you don't have it, you can always download it on my PowerSchool website where you find the math videos and print it out before we begin. Also, always make sure you have at least 2-3 different colors so that you can copy down your paper as what you see on the screen, changing the colors when I do. Press pause if you need to gather your materials before we begin. Okay, so now your job is to watch the video and listen and make sure that you write down what you see on your screen onto your paper so that in the end your paper is going to look like mine. And make sure you're listening carefully and pausing the video when you need to. So we're going to be looking at different properties in math that are kind of like math laws. They say we are allowed to do these different rules to it and always get the same answer. And the first property we're going to look at, which I'm sure you've heard of before, is the commutative property. And in red, I've written numbers switch places, so I would like for you to write the same thing in red or a different color that stands out. And the commutative property just says we can add two numbers or multiply two numbers in any order and we'll always get the same answer. In these two boxes, I'm going to put just some number examples, and please go ahead and copy them down with me. So for the first example, we're going to have 3 plus 5 is equal to 5 plus 3. Okay, and we all know that. It doesn't matter how we add two numbers in which order, we can reverse them and we'll always get the same answer for adding. And the same holds true for addition. We have 8 times 2 is equal to 2 times 8. Okay, it doesn't matter which order you multiply, you're going to always get the same answer. Okay, so that is that property. Moving on to the next property, we have the associative property. And under associative property, I want you to write in red that the grouping can change. Okay, grouping changes. This property is useful when you're adding or multiplying more than two numbers. And I want you to write examples with me. I'm going to put that in here. So for example, of addition, let's say we have this. If we have 3 plus 6 plus 1, these three numbers, we can choose to first add the 3 plus 6. So I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around that, and we'll get 9. And then we can add the 1 to that, and that answer is going to be 10. Or I can change the way I group it. Add the 6 plus 1 first, and you'll get a 7. Okay, and then you add 3 to that, and then your answer is still going to be 10. Okay, so the parentheses just shows us what we want to, which two numbers we add first, and then we'll get the same answer for adding three numbers. And the same thing is true for multiplication. If we are multiplying three numbers, the order that we multiply them in, the way we group them, is still going to give us the same answer. So for this one here, I have 5 times 9 times 10. Let's say I were to put the parentheses around the 5 times 9. We get 45. Then we times it by 10, and that's going to be 450. And on the other side, if I have 5 times 9 times 10, we're going to put parentheses now around the 9 times 10, so we're going to multiply those first. We get 90, and then we times it by 5, and 5 times 90 is 450. Okay, so I want you to pause here. Pause the video so you can copy everything you see on your screen, and when you're ready to continue, press play. Please pause now. For the next property, we have the identity property. The identity property is where the number is going to stay the same. So I want you to write number stays the same. And there are two identity properties. We have the additive identity and the multiplicative identity. So for example, on the additive identity, if we have a number such as 5 and we add 0 to it, it stays as 5. So the number stays the same, it doesn't change. For the multiplicative identity, says that anytime we take a number and multiply it by 1, that also keeps it the same. It is still going to be, like in this case, 8 times 1 is going to be 8. All right, so that number, the original number that we start with, is going to stay the same. I'm going to underline those numbers. And then the last one here, the multiplicative property of 0. This one is also pretty easy. It's just saying that anytime you multiply by 0, you get 0. So for example, let's say we have the number 3 and we times it by 0, you're going to get 0. Okay, so it's always 0. So go ahead and make sure you have that one written down. Again, pause the video anytime I'm going too fast so you can catch up and have your paper just as you see on the screen. So now we have examples at the bottom, and for these we're going to do those in class when I see you, so you can leave these blank until we talk about it in class. And you're all done with your first video notes. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.